Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Jenn Rice, and I am a practicing dermatology PA in Naples, Florida. And I've been doing this kind of work for a little over 11 years. And it's been a passion of mine to want to share dermatology information. So I created a series called Derm Insider. And I'm excited to share this with you. Today I wanted to talk about how much do we know about melanoma. And the reason I wanted to bring melanoma to the forefront today is that May is Melanoma Awareness Month. And for many people, and because of the number of patients that I've just talked to over the years, a lot of people don't really understand melanoma, or there are certain misconceptions about it. So let's just dive right in. One of the main things that we hear is that melanoma is rare, so I don't really have to worry about it. And really, we have about 70,000 cases of melanoma every year. In fact, the youngest person I have ever personally seen with a mole that was melanoma was 7 years old. And of course, it goes through all ages. The second thing that a lot of people say, well, it's just skin cancer, just cut it out and I'll be done with it. Well, unfortunately, melanoma acts differently in that it spreads to lymph nodes, organs like the lungs, the liver, and the bones. So it's not just something sometimes that you can just cut out and be done with it. Third, some people will say, well, it's only on the skin. It's just somewhere on the skin. But what we forget about is there is ocular melanoma, which can be either with the so anywhere we have pigment cells, right? So we know that melanoma arises from the melanocytes, so the cells that give pigment. So when you think about our eye, the pigment of our eye is susceptible to ocular melanoma. And this is often detected by an ophthalmologist. So like for me, I don't have the type of equipment that would look into someone's eyes to detect this. You would obviously get a full skin exam, but that's the importance of seeing an ophthalmologist every year for a checkup so that they can kind of see everything that's going on in the front and then behind. So there's uveal, and then there's a conjunctival melanoma. And sometimes people will spot like a different color coming up in the eye. And other times you don't see, there's no symptoms. So seeing the ophthalmologist is key. Okay, another thing that, patients will say to me is, if I just avoid the sun, I'm not going to get skin cancer. Like I said, I'm not really out in the sun. But, it's exposure to any UV radiation. So think about there's the obvious exposure that happens in a tanning bed, right? But there's also occupational equipment, overhead UV lighting, all sorts of things that we're being exposed to. And even driving, if you drive to your appointment, you're going to be in the car, and the car is going to have UVA rays coming through. And no, you're not, laying out on the beach, but you're still getting exposure. So to say that, if you just don't sit out in the sun, you can't get skin cancer, no, that doesn't work. And then, my spot, I don't have to worry about little spots, because there's a thought process that melanoma is, bigger spots or things that are very obvious, but really you can have a very, very tiny spot, and it can for sure be that. So don't just take the size of it as your main indicator to have somebody check it out. And this is my favorite. I'm going to get a base tan, and then I'll be good to go, right? So no, we don't want to get a base tan. Any tan is actually a sign of damage. And when you get sun, it can actually degrade the DNA, and when your cells come back together, it disrupts that gene duplication. So, not to get too over the top on that, because that loses even me on that, is that I would say no tan is always better. Use sunless tanner, tanning. There's all these great tan places now where they spray, airbrush, and all of that. So just a few statistics on melanoma, because I think it's really important for this, this lunchtime learning, and that is it's the leading cause of cancer in women 25 to 30. So when you think about women 25 to 30, you're not usually thinking about cancer, or if you are, maybe you're thinking about breast cancer, but believe it or not, melanoma is the leading cause of cancer in that age group. And, you know, people can be any age. Certainly older folks are a little bit more risk because over time things change for us, and our immune system has a little bit to do with this too. And I went into this in a previous video on skin cancer in general, and I won't take kind of a deep dive into that today, but I do think one of the best ways that you can prevent melanoma, or at least have an early detection, is to do your own home skin exam. And the way you can do that is with a handheld mirror. So I wanted to show you guys, you know, something as easy as like just a handheld mirror. And you can literally, you know, look around. You want to do armpits, because things hide back here, especially behind the arm, because that's a hard spot to see. Behind the arms, and you want to look at the bottoms of the feet, so you can take it and look at the bottoms of your feet, because otherwise it's, I mean, some people can see the bottom of their feet, but either way. And then of course your back in a mirror, and then definitely your back side. So even where the sun doesn't shine for a lot of us, you want to check there with the handheld mirror. So how are you going to check your scalp? Because we do see a lot of new growths that happen on the scalp, and the best way for women that have a lot of hair is to use a blow dryer and kind of pull the hair while you're blow drying around, and you can kind of see everything. Now you'll have to use the mirror, and you know, you have to be a little creative so that you can see the back, but you can definitely do your own skin check. And then obviously if something catches your eye, you're not sure about it, you ideally should be visiting a dermatology provider once a year. I have a tool, which I did a video on a while back, but it's called a dermatoscope. And dermatoscopes use polarized light, and they help to help us with our sensitivity and specificity, so we can be more sure of what we're looking at and whether or not it needs a biopsy. And I'd say, like, at this point there's about 75%, 70% of providers using this in office. So, you know, ideally your person who's checking your skin is using some tool like this. And if for whatever reason, you know, there's a lot of reasons that people can't get to the dermatologist, maybe you're underinsured, over busy, who knows. There are free screenings that the American Academy of Dermatology, especially in the month of May, if you go to aad.org, during the month of May, there's a lot of free screenings that multiple dermatologists do all over the country, and you can pop in and get a screening. And a screening, honestly, I mean, I personally can do a skin cancer screening on someone in about 2 minutes. I mean, I can make it slower, but you can really kind of, once, those of us that do this every day, it's sort of like whatever you do for a living every day, you get better and better at it because you've done it so much, right? So there is a speed to it because we've just done so many of them. So I encourage you guys to kind of lean into some of this information on melanoma. It's not something we want to just kind of, I mean, we don't want to necessarily lose sleep over worrying about getting something we don't have, but we definitely want to make sure we're doing all the right things. So think about your skin appointment. Think about a free screening. Yes, the aad.org. They are awesome, and they usually will show free screenings in different areas. And certainly if you're attending something that there's an opportunity for a free screening, you should definitely do that. I know we as a company we offer things in our area, and many other practices do that kind of thing. But like I say, you can try the home mirrors. I think that's great. If you're not really sure what you're looking at, you might want to ask someone, your primary care doctor, and if they feel like they need to refer you to derm, they can do that. I hope that you guys found this helpful. I really like taking time out to talk about ways that we can take care of ourselves better. And, there's no reason to not kind of open the discussion about melanoma and to be watching out for it, just like we do with breast cancer and other things. Just doing those things that we should do to kind of live the healthiest life we can have, right? So, if you enjoyed this, please share this with someone who might find value in it. I'd certainly love to hear any comments you have. I'm going to be 1 to 2 times a week featuring some dermatology information on this page, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'd love your feedback. Have a great day. Take care.